Welcome to the Estate Professionals Mastermind Podcast, a podcast for estate professionals who earn more, work less, and make a huge difference in their communities. If you get value out of this free content, be sure to check out ProbateMastery.com, where you can get live classes, access to weekly coaching, and valuable courses. To learn more, visit ProbateMastery.com. Now let's jump into this week's content.
Hey, welcome to our Probate Mastery Real Estate Coaching Call. I'm Bill Gross. We get together every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. That's noon for Cowboys fans. And this is part of the Probate Mastery program. You can go to ProbateMastery.com for details. There's some free courses here. You get certified in probate, as well as additional course bundles and such. And you can go to the free Facebook community. We have 7,000 student members who get together every week, and you can continue the conversation there. And upcoming prospecting series, they promote events and such there. So a good place to hang out if you're looking for more information. Separately, I host probateweekly.com. It's on Thursdays, and we do that at 4 p.m. Pacific, and then we live stream that onto YouTube and Facebook. Love to have you join us there. This week we have Aline Kendall, who's an eviction attorney, which is a big part of our probate business. So this is meant to be participative. I mean, I kind of guess, kind of like the Cowboys are meant to win a Super Bowl once in a while. It's meant to be participative. You may or may not participate, but we'd love to have you. I think that's a low blow, huh? I haven't seen Larry for a long time. I love Larry. I love it because it gives me some material to work on. Otherwise, I have to work hard. But it's meant to be, and I think in our business, the more you participate, the more you learn, the more you create value for other people. And so love to have you raise your hand or put in the chat box, and we will do our best to keep up. Additionally, feel free to put your contact info so we can participate and share referrals and information, things like that. I see Lou Gutierrez in the chat. Lou, are you with us today?
Yeah, Bill, good morning. How you doing?
Good. You want to say a quick hello and kind of share with everybody who you are?
Sure. Yeah, so I'm Lou Gutierrez. I'm the course advisor for Probate Mastery. I've been helping out Bruce with enrollments. I've been in this role for almost 2 months now. And right now we have one of the craziest specials I've seen. We have a special course bundle that includes Probate Mastery On Demand, which is our on-demand certification course. Take it whenever you like. It's a lifetime membership. And we also have our EARN course, which is an acronym for Earning Attorney Referrals Now. It's a separate course that also teaches you how to, build your probate business through attorney referrals. Okay, and both courses are usually $600 a piece. Right now, Bruce bundled them into $700 for both.
Wow!
And I've never seen this. I don't expect it to come back. I don't know. So let's see. If you'd like to take advantage of this, tomorrow is the last day. So this is pretty much the last call. I've left my contact information. You could, I'm really busy, so probably sending me a text or an email, but probably a text would be the best way.
Right.
You could also book a call, but my calendar looks pretty full. But yeah, if you're really interested in this, just shoot me a text. I could send you the enrollment link and you could register on your own. Okay. If you would like to speak with me, go ahead and, shoot me a text and I'll try to squeeze you in if I have a cancellation during the day.
Fantastic.
And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Lou, thanks so much. Yeah, the certification program is a basic program to get certified. And then the EARN program is so many agents are interested in learning on how to build business from attorney referrals, and that's the basic course it does. I actually taught a little piece of that course and took it. I paid for both of them myself, and I think they're great. I'm not a paid sales rep in this business. I do the coaching call, but I'm a colleague. I'm here to help you, and I've done both these programs. I do believe the more you learn, the more you're going to earn. So I'm here to help you with that. If it's distracting, I'm sorry. Chewing a cough drop, trying to keep my voice clear. It's been a wild week. Feeling much better. That's interesting. Confirm your speaking language. Sounds like maybe I switched to a different language. Wow. Zoom a little heavy-handed with the language guessing today. Okay. So that said, questions, comments, victories, losses. Who wants to share something today in your probate business? Anybody?
Hey, Bill, this is Ron.
Hey,
Hey,
Ron, what's going on?
morning. I just finished the Probate Mastery and I got the
Mhm.
certificate. Is there a designation like emblem or logo that you can put on your card?
Yeah, reach out to Lou for that. But at the end of the program, the on-demand program, the last chapter is how to download your logo
Oh,
and
okay.
such.
I did download all that, but I guess I missed it. So,
Mhm.
okay.
It's there. Good. Well, thanks. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks.
Hey, Nanette, you're new. Welcome.
It was very interesting, and I'm continuing on with some of the other videos out there.
I think it gives you a real broad perspective of the business, which I think is real important. Okay, let's see. Hands up. I see Larry Smith. It's been a while since we heard from him. What's going on, Larry?
Okay, Bill. So I know that since I last saw you, that you put out a email course. Have not heard much about it since then. Curious if any of the group here is doing weekly emails with your best practices, what you are promoting in the course. I haven't taken it, which is the reason for the question, but curious, anybody taking your course, using it? What kind of is anybody doing it with their probate business on a weekly basis to people in probate? And we get a chat there.
So your question is sending out regular emails. And so I think there's two different approaches. Just real quick, I'll share one. I have a little video of one of my favorite marketing strategies. Let's see here.
That's awesome.
Oh, sorry about that. I think that's the wrong video. Accident there. Sorry there, Larry.
Excellent video.
I met him in person before he took that job when he was in Miami. He's one of the greatest people I've ever met in my life. I have to say, just phenomenal.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So there's two different strategies. And so let's have a conversation about that. One is, sending a sequence of emails to either petitioners or attorneys where a sequence is created, and depending on when you start contacting them, they get one after another, whatever that sequence is. And I think companies like to sell very complicated sequences of emails and text and phone calls, and they'll tell you to do the phone calls, and agents most commonly won't do that part. And now I'll just show you my personal philosophy is I send something to everybody, minimum at least every week. And that way I don't worry about a sequence. I'm sending them something that's relevant and real and from me. I do believe, I not just share with you, not to be argumentative, but to present my perspective, and we can discuss it here. But I believe that in leadership, and if you think about sales, you're really in leadership. You're leading your customers to a service. You're leading your attorneys to a desired outcome. I think one of the most important roles of leadership is communication of your values and systems and strategies and tactics and encouragement. And so as such, then your communication to your customers becomes, I think, one of the most important roles as a salesperson. And I wouldn't delegate that to somebody else. I'm not going to buy somebody else's email sequence because they don't have my voice, they don't have my tone, they don't have my strategy in place. And so I have bought postcard like with graphics where I write the text. But in the past I did do mailers for the companies without really good success. I think part of it is the tone doesn't match up for me. Now, some of you say, well, that's a lot to write your own stuff. I think that's the job, is to create the message. And sometimes start with a simple message, and then over time you can make something more deep. I see, Coley, you have your hand up. Did you want to talk on this subject or something different? Let's get you unmuted if you want to jump in.
Hey Bill, I just had a question if that's all right.
On this topic or something else?
On something else.
Okay, so hold on one second then. I want to kind of give this a little room and I'll bring you back in, okay?
Great.
Okay, anybody else have any input on specifically email campaigns or email sequences or anything like that? And I see, Larry, you have your hand up. This is your question.
Yeah. So I wanted you to finish. You said two different strategies. One was sequence. What was the other?
The other one is sending the same thing to everybody all the time.
Okay.
Right. So I don't have a sequence of emails to attorneys or petitioners. I send everybody in my system the same email, multiple emails, and I have social media going out all the time to everybody. And so I don't segment them specifically by probate. I do probate weekly. I cut pieces in video. I send out that email piece to everybody in my database regularly.
Okay. Beautiful. Okay.
Before we again, Coley, thank you for understanding. Anybody else have any comment or suggestions, or anybody using a sequential marketing system for probate specifically, or in general, or anybody sending out the same thing regularly to everybody in your database and having success with it? No.
Bill,
And
do we
else,
know if is anybody using your course? Did anybody take your course?
yeah. Yeah, so I'm not here to promote it, but just since you brought it up,
I'm
but
trying
the
to
reason
help
why,
you.
thank you. The reason why I did it was, to be honest, when I coach agents, what I found was over and over again, I would ask them, I kind of look the fundamentals. And if you're going to play sports, let's say football, and I'm not a football coach, but I do know that beginning of the season, they're going to do a lot of running and they're going to lift a lot of weights. Every team, every NFL team ever, they run a lot and they lift a lot of weights. Why is that? Because those are fundamental skills and fundamental activities to success in really any professional sport today. And I would say, as a salesperson, we have certain fundamentals you can't really get around. I think one is creating your database where everybody you contact needs to be efficiently managed or saved or put into place somehow. And then communication with them. And email is the foundation. Getting their email address and then using it is a foundation. Then from there, we can do other social media and such. And so I created a class on email mastermind because I would coach agents over and over again who didn't do those fundamentals. And the idea of the program was it was more of a working mastermind where I did a one-time hour-long presentation, then we had 4 half-hour follow-ups, working sessions. And the idea being that every week you should be working on these items. I work on these items on my business every week, building my database, improving my frequency of communication, and improving the response rates, and then adding more platforms or being more effective on other platforms. And so those are 4 fundamentals that we have to be working on as professionals, I believe, all the time. And so I created that course. It's an email mastermind class. I offered it at $97, and you get an hour and then 4 half-hour follow-ups with me as well. And yeah, I get about 10 people per month, and that's nice. And I pays for my time to do it. And but again, I'm not interested in selling a course. I'm interested on getting people into action on their database. I think all of you can do all those things on your own for free, and I would encourage you all to do it as well. But thanks. If you're interested in it, reach out to me and I'd be glad to get you the info for it.
Can you
Thank
go ahead
you.
and post a link on it, Bill?
I
Because I'm too
guess.
lazy to go look it up myself.
I guess. Thank you. It's nice of you to ask. And I'll go ahead and put
And
that
I
in.
get my customary 10% commission for all
Yeah, no,
sales.
I don't pay any commissions for this. I really, if you know, my feeling is if you don't want the class and really you don't belong in it, if you're going to do the work, please don't take it. I really, and I believe that. I really,
I know.
I'm not here to coach people. When I was coaching people, I felt like I was being paid to coach people whether they did anything or not, and I didn't enjoy that. I want people who are going to do the work and improve their business. So I'd love to help you with that. Okay.
Gotcha. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Thanks so much. Thanks for the advertisements. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, Coley's next up, waiting patiently. Thank you so much for sitting down there for a second. What's going on? How can I help you?
Hey, everybody. So I'm working with a lady that her husband died overseas in Canada, not overseas, but in another country in Canada, and her there's no will on the property at all. And the challenge that she's encountering is that there's no cause of death on the death certificate. So
Mm,
that's delaying her access to the life insurance funds and her Social Security. So I was wondering if there's any way to navigate that process for her to help her figure out the cause of death on the certificate so that she can access her funds. She says she's interested in selling her property within the next year and a half by July 2024. And she has an agent already, but I just kept it in her ear that hey, if she changes her mind, like I'm here to help her through the process. So any tips around navigating international ties with death certificates?
Sure. So, what state does your client live in?
She lives in California.
Hmm. And where are you at, Coley? You in LA?
No, I'm in San Jose, California.
Okay. So you're looking for an attorney who has who can handle that aspect for them. And if I understand the question is the Canadian death cert does not have the cause of death on it?
Yeah, it's like withheld for some reason, and that's what she needs to access her life insurance funds.
It's withheld, meaning she has a death cert and it's blacked out, or it's not on their death cert.
It's not on the death certificate.
Hmm. That's interesting. Um, that's very interesting. There's one, it's interesting in that if there's one statistic that municipalities are accurate with, it's deaths, and then they may fudge the cause of death. During COVID, there's a big controversy whether they're writing that down or not for insurance reimbursement purposes. But they put a cause of death, and I've never heard of a death cert without a cause of death on it. Is it in a small county in or province in Canada? Where did they pass?
Manitoban, I think she said.
Manitoba's a little more rural, obviously, than Quebec or other provinces. So, yeah, I don't have an answer there. I think that I do know there is a company that does business there. Let's see here. Where's the list of information? So there's a company that I do business with, Alyssa Rakovic of Inherit Now, and they have a couple different programs. They do advances in probates. They do heirs research, but they also, along the way, sometimes represent the heirs. And so you might reach out to her and see if she might have a contact in that area. Put her contact information in the chat box. And she might be able to help. That might be a resource. Number one. Number two, go into the Facebook group and post that question. See, we have 50 people on the call today, but we might have 7,000 in the chat box. And then, in the Facebook group. And then third, go to my Facebook group, Probate Weekly in Facebook, and post the same question there and see if you can't find. I know we have some Canadian attorneys. I know we have some Canadian realtors who play around in that area a little bit with us. And let's find out. And then what real estate company are you with currently?
My own.
Oh, okay. Got it. I was going to say, because I'm with the XP and we have a big Canadian group as well, but that's not going to help you. So, okay, good. Yeah, I would say post it. See if Alyssa can help you. And then I also would try those two Facebook groups. Post a question, see if you can't find somebody who can help you there.
Appreciate it. What is your Facebook group called?
Probate Weekly.
Probate Weekly. Okay. Thank you so much.
Sure, my pleasure. Okay, Liz says, how do you raise your hand? On the reactions button is if you, one of the reactions is to raise your hand. And then Sarah says, when my friend's husband passed, she had to contact the consulate of her husband's citizenship. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure that's going to get the information on the death cert, but yeah, interesting. Okay, good. Okay, Chad, I see your hand up. Let's bring you in. Chad Ellsworth, what's going on?
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. A couple of just kind of tactical questions, pretty basic. When you're dealing with, say, let's call it a non-complicated situation, small family, nobody's fighting, is it pretty common for the PR, or if there's not a lot of beneficiaries, is there any conflict if the PR is also the primary beneficiary on the probate? Is that pretty typical?
Yeah, pretty common.
That's common. Okay, that's what I thought. And in practical terms, for a very simple case, somebody passes away, no will. What is the first step that the person that wants to be the PR, is he taking the death certificate to court to open probate?
What state are you in?
Tennessee.
I'm sorry for all the coughing, everybody. Process varies by state, so I don't know what it is in Tennessee. In California, you don't need the death cert to file the probate, but the death cert has a lot of good information on it that's going to help you file accurately. So if you can get a copy of it, that's going to help. It's going to have the date of death, it's going to have the location of death, cause of death, different information. That probably is going to be in your filing information. So you don't necessarily need it, but if you have it, it's going to help make your filing more complete when you start the process. I'm sorry.
Okay. And the courts aren't looking for, they're not necessarily concerned with who the beneficiaries are when you first file it, right? You can just open probate and you go from there. At some point, you're going to stand before a judge and they're going to kind of unravel it.
Well, so again, I'm not familiar with Tennessee specifically, and I would urge you to find a local attorney to help you learn. But in California, you really want to notice all the potential beneficiaries. So when you file a petition, you make a list of all the known next of kin. And then at some point, your obligation, if you want to be appointed to manage it, you need to notice them that you're filing probate. Because imagine a case where a man dies and has, say, 5 sons and daughters, and one files a probate and wants to be appointed. Well, if he doesn't tell one of his brothers or sisters, that person could go to the judge and say, hey, I didn't know. And frankly, I should be appointed, not my brother or sister, because he's a criminal. My father hated him. Here's another will. There's a lot of reasons why. So one of the obligations of filing the petition is to name everybody who potentially would have an interest in the case, heirs, potential spouses, and such, and creditors, because they need to get notice of the process. So again, I don't know the process specifically in Tennessee. Love to talk to a Tennessee probate attorney. If you have one, I'll interview them and maybe put them on my show. But in general, you can't just go to the court and say, yeah, I'd like to be appointed to manage the affairs of my deceased father, and without telling everybody else who might object to that they think that you're not competent to do it.
But you're filing, I understand exactly what you mean. But in terms of the sequence of events, are you opening probate with the court before everybody's notified?
Well, in California, when you file the petition, and then you take the petition and publicize it by putting it into certain approved newspapers. And what that does is theoretically tells the world you're planning to probate the estate. And if you have an objection, here's your chance to at least object now, while it's easier to object. Once somebody's been appointed, if they follow the right procedure, and again, I can only speak to California, but if they follow the right procedure, it's much harder to remove them just because you didn't know about it if they followed all the correct procedures. So let's say that nobody knew that you existed. You were the product of a marriage that nobody knew about, or a girlfriend nobody knew about, and you come back 3 months later and say, hey, they're trying to take my inheritance from me. The judge might look at that more as administrative. Hey, nobody knew about you, but we're going to make sure you get your share, versus, well, they should have known about you, and therefore he didn't properly petition, and therefore we're going to remove him as a petitioner and make you the executor administrator of the case. So again, I don't know Texas law, but Tennessee law, but in California, the idea is that you should do your best to anticipate any potential errors and then publicize it, and then they have a chance to, at that point, complain if they feel they've been overlooked.
Gotcha. Okay, I'll do some more research on specifically for Tennessee. While I've got you here, shift gears just a minute. I want to ask you a question about your emails.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a real estate broker, and I have an email list that I spend quite a bit of time on for my general real estate business. So the question is this: it would require a lot of effort to generate. Well, the question is this: do I tailor emails to probate specifically, or would you include all of them on a general list with real estate updates and market updates and interest rate updates, or would you tailor a completely separate list for this type of business?
So I think everybody has to answer that question for themselves, right? Everybody's style and tone and such is different. So the first thing I'd ask you is when people, when you get a probate referral, right? My uncle, told me you handle probate real estate. My attorney said you're a probate expert. At the end of the day, they're going to hire you or not based on if they think you can sell real estate. True or false?
True, as long as probably if they assume that you have the experience with the probate as well.
As well, but they're not going to hire you unless they also know you think that you know something about real estate.
Agreed.
So that's my thinking, and that's why I want everybody to look at me as a real estate expert with a expertise in probate. So I send everybody, every attorney I ever talk to, every lead I ever talk to goes to my general real estate email that goes out every week and goes on to social media, Facebook and YouTube and such. And then I tag the ones that are probate related, attorney or petitioner, and send them something less frequently focused on probate, like inviting them to Probate Weekly. They're not going to come, but they're going to go, geez, this guy has a class every week on probate. Kind of crazy. Like, he must know something about the subject. So I do, market to attorneys and petitioners with additional probate content, not as often, but kind of once in a while I have something special.
Got it. I appreciate the insight.
Sure. And that's how I do it. I'm not saying it's the only way. And I'm in a very competitive market in Los Angeles for probate, but that's how I do it. Okay.
Thank you.
Chad, thanks so much. Thanks for your contribution. Okay. Next hand up I see is Lynn. Let's get her unmuted and bring you in. What's going on, Lynn? You're muted. You're muted. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
Okay. The first question I have is, what's the difference between a petitioner and attorney?
Well, by definition, a petitioner is a person who is making the petition. Most commonly, an attorney is representing the petitioner, who would be either applying to administer the estate if there's no will, or to execute the will if there's a will, called the executor or executrix. So most commonly, when I use the term petitioner, I'm referring to, let's say, the customer or the client as opposed to the attorney.
Okay, so you're saying that the petitioner is the executor?
Well, they're petitioning to be appointed the executor. They may not yet be the executor. So petitioner refers to them before they're appointed, and then when they're appointed, they're either the administrator or executor.
Okay. I had, I put out about 90 letters and I got a response. And the situation she's in is her aunt. She's next of kin to her aunt that passed away 3 years ago. And there was an executor appointed at that time, but the executor now has passed. And I asked her if probate's been opened, and she said no. I'm thinking she probably doesn't know for sure if there was an executor. So I guess my question is, how would I tell her to start the process, or how would she go about getting information to start the process?
What state is this in?
Kansas.
So I don't know much about Kansas law specifically, but I would say either help her find an attorney that can help her in Kansas.
Okay.
If you don't know of one, a great national service I use is Scrivener.
Can you spell that, or?
I just put in the chat box. So the term Scrivener with an ER at the end is the name for somebody who would write out documents for a court. Take the E off, Scrivener.com is the service. And they will file probate cases. They'll act as executor if necessary. They'll advance the estate money if necessary. I don't know if they operate in Kansas, but they might. They might for you. You talk them into it?
Well, I did contact a gentleman that said he works for an attorney, and I have an appointment with him tomorrow night. But basically, you're saying that I need to get an attorney involved with this.
Well, so when somebody says they work for an attorney, so you're in Kansas. What city are you in?
Wichita.
Okay, so that's a big city for Kansas, and I presume I'm just saying there's a lot of rural Kansas as well.
Yes,
So,
there is.
Wichita's is about as big as it gets, I think. Is the state capital,
No, we're not the state capital, but we are the largest city.
Yeah, as big as it gets. So, I assume there's a probate attorneys who do these things on a regular basis in Wichita, Kansas. In suburban areas or rural areas, there might not be. When somebody says they work for an attorney, I often have come across kind of like, mercenary paralegals who kind of don't really have a job, but they kind of get some work and they go to an attorney and they get paid a little bit of money and they don't really know what they're doing. You want somebody, you're a real estate agent, Lynn?
Yes, I am.
What company are you with?
Better Homes and Gardens.
Do you mind sharing how many homes a year do you sell?
35.
Is there a difference between you who sells 35 homes a year and say the other agent in your office below average who sells one a year? Is there a difference in the way you guys approach like everything?
Yes.
Your paperwork's different. Your contracts are different. Your talk is different. Like in 5 minutes, you get to the bottom line. They're going to spend weeks and not know they can't really sell the house.
Right.
The paralegal's kind of like the other agent. You want to find the Lynn of the probate filings of Wichita, Kansas. And the Lynn, the attorney, male or female, who does 35 probates a year, not just one a year, is going to be somebody who knows and does it at a high level, is going to give your customer good service. Your customer's going to appreciate the introduction, and your life is better. I just found when I took it to those kind of, I know how to do probate people, it was never good.
Well, I think my biggest concern at this point is feeling like a fake, because when she reached out to me, I was like, yes, I can help you. And I'm thinking, how the hell do I help her?
Well, I'll tell you how you help. So let's talk about that. So, and I think this is one of the big things holding us back. You obviously are. Anybody that's close more than 35 homes a year? If you do, put in the chat box, put yes. There isn't going to be anybody else. Now, I did 25, maybe a little bigger, but we're in the same ballpark. But here's what I can tell you. If I didn't know how to do a probate, I do know how to do things. One, to access my database. Hey, I come across, okay, there's a couple people. Okay, a couple, 2 out of 50, put you in the top 5%. So, number one, you have a database, I imagine, of a couple hundred people. How about if you just went through your database and looked for a probate attorney for starters? My guess is you don't even know that you have one, or you have a spouse who she's an administrative assistant, a secretary. Turns out she works for a probate office or a estate planning office, or their kid just graduated college, works as a file clerk in a probate attorney office. So number one, I would reach out to yours and just say, who do I know who works in the probate field already? I'd like to ask some questions. Number two, the mistake we make is we think, and I interview attorneys literally every week. I do one on my program almost every week, and I do 2 or 3 a week as well. The biggest mistake we make as real estate agents is we assume the attorneys sit in their office and probates come into them all day long, and they hand out probate listings like Santa Claus at Christmas time. And it's not that way at all. 80% of their business comes from realtors. So the Lynn of probate attorneys in Wichita would love to meet Lynn, because you have clients you should be referring to him or her, and you're not because you don't know him or her. And once you meet him or her, you can refer them business. And then additionally, they can refer you business as well. So I don't know how busy you are, but I would say, why not call a couple attorneys based on Google search, who seems to do a lot, who seems to pay for ads, who seems to have a nice Facebook page, website. When you call, like the things that you would use to interview yourself, find that attorney and say, I'm kind of like you, and I specialize in real estate. I do 35 homes a year here in Wichita. I don't want my clients to go to some paralegal because I don't know anybody. I'd rather find the best probate attorney in Wichita. Is that you? How's that?
That sounds like something I would say.
There you go. There you go. Now, Sarah is on the call, so she knows somebody in Lawrence.
It's about
Lawrence
3
is
hours.
a college town in where University of Kansas is.
Yeah, it's about 3 hours north of me.
Yeah. Different
Thank you,
world.
Sarah.
But I would say, what a good excuse to call a couple attorneys and talk to them and say, I get these inquiries from time to time. I've never really made a point of professionally adding to my Rolodex a great probate attorney, and I'm wondering if that might be you. Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
We solve that problem.
I think we did.
How about make those calls and come back next week and tell us how you did with that?
Oh, look at you. Put me on the spot here. Okay.
How about that?
Fair enough.
We call that accountability.
Yes, we do.
Okay, good. We'll see you next week, Lynn.
Okay.
Thanks so much. Okay, next up, I see Jim Steele's got his hand up. Let's bring him in. Let's get him unmuted.
Yes,
What's up,
sir.
Jim?
How are you?
I'm great, man. How are you?
Great. Hey, so listen, I'm brand new to the probate thing. I did sign up for the Probate Mastery course. I've started that, and I got the Earn course right with it. So I got both of them. I was speaking so my USP idea for attorneys was kind of like a concierge service, because I have a partner who, does the contracting stuff, rehabs. We rehab a bunch of homes together and stuff. So I can offer a variety of different services. So I called one of my attorney contacts. I wouldn't call him a friend, but I've known him for a lot of years. And I just wanted to try it out on him. So I was talking to him and said, hey, Steve, would this be of any value to you, basically? And he said no. And he explained to me that it's not as I would have thought, that they're looking, when a probate case comes to them and they need to clear out the home or repair it or whatever, get rid of cars, boats, stuff like that, that this would be something he would have to handle. And he's like, not really. And he's like, they basically, come to him kind of already taken care of. So then I was like, well, that's interesting. So in your estimation, is this just him kind of, feeding me a line because I've known him for a long time? Or is my USP kind of messed up and maybe I need to come from a different direction? Or is this, in the Earn program, is this all covered and I'm just getting ahead of myself?
Where do you sell real estate?
The Tampa, Florida area.
Very
North
nice.
of Tampa.
Very nice.
The beach is real.
Yeah, that's not Tampa, though. I've been to Tampa. That's not Tampa.
Is that where that is? I don't know.
No, it's not Tampa. That's like Caribbean
years.
somewhere. That's a
It's
South
got a
Pacific
beautiful
Caribbean
place.
island. So, a couple things. First off, I would say that, when I would think of what you called your USP, is really one tool of what I think the USP would be. Meaning, if somebody asks me, can I, introduce them to contractors and such to do rehab work and fix the house up? My answer is, yeah, if that's what you want, I'll get that for you. The question is, does that serve the customer or not? And I know people who've made that their USP, the rehab and the, construction piece, and they'll lend the money for it and make it easy. Because in the market, like 4 years ago, the longer you held the property, the more it went up in value. Everybody was a genius at fix and flips. Right. Now it's not really the case. That's not to say housing prices aren't going up, but they're not going up as dramatically. They're not jumping 15% a year like they were back then. And the question is, for every dollar you put in the property, how much do you get out? What's your return on investment over time? And if your return on $1 of investment is only 80 cents, you can't win. There's a great tool, Housing Wire bought them, called Remodeling Magazine online. We can go in and look by regions, individual rehab jobs, and see what the return on investment for that job is, how much you get back when selling the house. And I believe what you find out, and this has been true for most of the last 20 years, that when you remodel something in your house, put a patio deck on or a fire pit or new bathroom, as the homeowner, you enjoy that benefit for as long as you're in the house. And then when you sell it, you recoup a chunk of that money back because the house is improved. But you get all the money back. You get the money back because the house is appreciated, not because you did the improvement for the most part. And so that value proposition, there are people who want to do that. And the fact you can offer it's great. But I wouldn't presume that everybody thinks it's valuable because you just found somebody who doesn't. And I generally don't. So it's going to vary. I think it's like selling, hamburgers. Some people have hamburgers, some people don't. You can't worry about the ones who don't want hamburgers. You got to find the ones with hamburgers and give them to them, however they want them. And so to answer your question, I would think that you always want to be careful to ask questions to see what your customer wants before you offer it, and then offer them what they want, not what we think we want to sell them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I don't know that's covered in the EARN program because EARN's more about the attorneys.
Well, that's what I was talking about was what do I offer? Because my philosophy in sales has always been I'm a problem solver. I'm a pain reliever,
Right.
I don't know what the attorney's pain is. I'm not
there
well versed enough in this business.
There you go. So when you ask them, I
assumed it would be a concierge kind of service where we could take care of all the house related stuff, would be solving a problem for them. And maybe like I said, maybe this guy was just kind of not the right person to ask, but that was my approach. And that's what I was hoping to learn from the program, what to say to him.
What I'd say is some that is their problem and some it's not their problem. And the ones that's not their problem, you're going to lose them because you're going to tell them. One of the things I learned through Mike Ferry's selling is selling isn't telling, selling is asking questions. So when I ask a question, hey, Jim, I'm curious, as a probate attorney, what is your biggest pain point that stops you from either, doing more business or being more profitable with your probate business? Ask him.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
If he says, well, I spent all day with me and my staff doing different administrative work for the petitioner, there's your chance to step in and offer that. But they might say not. There's other things they might say is an issue. Most of the houses I sell are being sold as is. I've learned how to negotiate where I don't even trash out the house anymore. Because if the house is being bought by, here's what I learned in the last year. If the house is being bought by a fix and flipper, they're going to tear out a lot of stuff that we're going to leave behind. They're going to tear out the old beat up carpet and the linoleum, and they're going to pull out maybe the cabinets and redo them or whatever. So they already have big dumpsters and staff to remove that. They can remove the junk out on a wholesale cost that my customer would have to pay retail to get done. And so I say to them, factor in your price, you junking out the house. And my client will take out whatever they want, and whatever's left, you remove. And I say to my customer, a couple $1,000 almost every time. In fact, many times the buyer just agrees to it as a concession in negotiation, and we don't pay anything for it, really. So I would make the assumption that everybody needs that help. You want to find out what their pain point is and solve their pain point, not yours.
Perfect.
Okay?
That's good stuff. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Good luck. Okay, it says Russell, but I suspect, I don't want to make assumptions here. It is Russell. Hey, how you doing? With the headset on. What's going on, Russell?
Hey, Bill. I've been, I guess, in the probate field now for about 4 months. I've taken the mastery course. I've taken the EARN course, and I think I've even got part of your mail course. I'm over in the the East Coast of Florida, around Cocoa Beach. Okay. And I've run into, it seems like every petitioner already has an attorney. A lot of these attorneys are already working with, somebody in the real estate field. And I've been approaching them, I've been contacting the PR, then I go in and contact the attorney. I walk in the office, and hand them a little flyer, and say, hey, I want to help you out with this particular guy or girl. And so far, I haven't had an awful lot of success. I'm just kind of wondering, will these attorneys give you the time of day and actually allow you to make an appointment with them to sit down and go over what you can actually provide? And is it worthwhile emailing all these people? Because I think, I'm not sure if email really works for attorneys, because I've always heard they just, they don't really pay attention to them. Kind of like sending them marketing materials in the mail. So just your thoughts.
Sure. Cocoa Beach is Space Coast, right?
Sure is. Yep.
Near Fair Beach. And how long you been in real estate?
I've been in real estate an awful long time. Years. I've worked up in the Boston area for quite some time. I had a broker's license there. Down here, I'm working more as a broker associate.
And do you have a viable real estate business separate from probate now, or is this you're trying to start up and use probate as a startup process?
No, I'm doing real estate. I'm doing a lot of rentals. I've had a few sales every year, not often.
So
I'm with EXP.
Okay, so at the risk of sounding a broken record, the biggest mistake agents make when they seek to build a probate business is not start from the fundamentals. The fundamentals are your current database. And within the people you've sold, if you've been in the business for a few years, you have sales under your belt, you have a couple hundred people, you have somebody in that database or several that are either probate attorneys that do probate, the spouse is a probate attorney, or the spouse works at a firm, or the kid works at a firm as an administrator. And by not reaching out, you're missing the easiest step. And I'm saying this, the two best pieces of business I had in my career, by coincidence, were people I knew before I was involved with probate, after I started marketing probate and put myself in a position to get the business. Meaning, one was a young woman who I knew socially. My wife and I knew her mother, and I saw her in court. So when it came time to talk, I knew what to say. And another one was a longtime friend who's an attorney, who was a client of mine as real estate, but I didn't know he did probate until I was well down the road and gave me, I worked with him on several nice pieces of business last year, and I have another nice large listing portfolio coming up here shortly. And so that's to say that we all make that mistake. I would start with that. Cold email, I mean, besides the fact that there's a Canned Spam Act, that's a problem. Cold, postcards and phone calls, those are different challenges as well. But I would certainly start with what you have and make sure everybody knows you've learned a lot about probate in the last period of time. Share what you know with the people in your date, with the people you already know. And my guess is you're missing those opportunities first. And then second would be, however you meet people now, there's probably probate attorneys there. I would work on those before complete strangers. So whether it be in your community, in your church, synagogue, in your real estate investment groups you might go to, whatever it is you do in life, I would start with attorneys who are there already and seek to work with them, inching your way into the probate business rather than cold calling probate attorneys. By definition, when you buy data from a probate company, they filed a petition, they have an attorney already. Yes, that's the nature of the process. And everybody has a realtor until they find a better one, right? It's kind of like dating. Now, I'll say I'm married 37 years. I haven't dated for 37 plus. But when I was single, my rule was, if I'm in a bar and you're a pretty girl and I offer to buy you a drink and you say yes, I don't have to ask you if you have a boyfriend. The answer is no. Because if you had a boyfriend, you wouldn't take a drink from me. If you took a drink from me, I didn't have to ask you the question. Same with real estate, that when you're talking to an attorney about probate, if they're talking to you, they don't have a realtor. If the petitioner's talking to you, they don't have a realtor. You have to ask the question. They may think they have a realtor before you start. Your job is to show them they didn't have the right realtor until they met you. So I hope that gives you a little bit, but I would really make sure I really worked who you have already first before I worry about cold people.
Yeah, thank you.
Like, for example, how many people are in your data? You took my email class. How many are in your database?
I got several hundred.
How many of those have you called and just asked the question? I've been learning a lot about probate. I see a lot of families struggling with the process. Do you know anybody who's in the probate process that I could be of assistance to? Have you asked that question?
No.
You go through your own database. You have to cold call anybody or cold email. Now, you could email your database that same question, and then a day or two later start the phone call process. You could post on social media that same question, and then make phone calls. And that way they know you're when you call them, you're already on the hunt for that, if that makes sense. Does that help a bit?
Sure does.
That's where I'd start. Okay?
Thank you.
Russell, thank you. Okay. I think we got through all the questions, all the hands up. Who else? Somebody asked, how do you raise your hand? Anybody, did that person get their hand up? No? I think
Yes.
so.
Yes,
Okay.
I was the one that had
Corrections.
asked that.
Okay, good. Anybody else have any questions, comments, victories, defeats?
I had one lady that I'd mailed to. She said that to take her off the mailing list, and
Hmm.
and I don't have a problem taking her off the mailing list
Hmm.
for her request, but on the flip side, there's still going to be a need possibly. So I don't really know how to tactfully stay in touch without.
Don't.
Okay.
So here's the rule. Here's my rule. I would do business with people who want to do business with me. So if you don't want to call, you own my stuff, fine. Just save me $1.50 or whatever it is. I mean, really, it's so funny. I get emails, maybe one of you are on the call here, who sign up for a program I do, and then they email me back, unsubscribe me. And I think, really? Like, you can't just delete it or put it in spam or whatever. Really, I have to unsubscribe you because whatever, you can't hit the unsubscribe button because you're so offended you got the email for the program you signed up for. And I tell myself when I get those, no, be thankful. They're raising their hand saying, I'm a pain in the rear end. Please avoid working with me or else you're going to regret working with me. And I'm like, thank you. And I can jump off real fast. So when people tell you to take them off, just do it quickly and move on and don't make a big process with it, I think. Okay, I hope that helps a little bit. Okay. Last question. Gail has a question. Gail, do you want to unmute and I'll bring you in and we could chat a little bit? Is that a possibility for you?
Sure, I'm driving, but yeah, go ahead.
So, I think I hit the wrong person there. Let's see here. There you go. So, Gil, where do you sell real estate?
About February.
LA?
Yes.
West Coast is the best coast. So, how long have you been, and you just started with real estate. How long have you been in real estate?
Not too long. I've done some wholesale deals and one fix and flip, and that's pretty much about it.
Okay. And are you a real estate agent or a wholesaler investor?
I just got my license like last year, but I haven't got any sales as an agent yet.
Okay. How many people do you have in your database?
As far as like people I call to see if they want to sell their house, or
For those of you watching, this is the problem that we have in our industry. I'm not picking on you, Gil. I want to use you as it's Gil. I want to use you as the example. If I was to ask you the question, how many database, the answer should be a number because your database is your business. We all, and I'm not picking you, Gil. I was guilty of this as well. We all think of our business as some nebulous thing. It's out there. It's my work. It's no. If you're going to sell your business, the first thing a professional would say is, how many people do you have in your database? Both past clients, how many prospects do you have in pendings? And that number determines what you get paid. That's the value of your business. That we don't know the answer tells us we're not treating it like a business. We're treating it like a job where we get a commission check. And a job, the boss is responsible for success. We're just trying to make some money and hustle and get paid. A business, we evaluate our activities in building the equity of what we have. And that's why it's important to monitor how many people do we have as clients that we close, how many do we have as prospects we haven't closed yet, how many past clients we have, how many pendings, what our pending commissions is. And you need to be watching that minimum every week. And so, Gil, the thing I'd say to you is, you've done wholesaling, now you're a real estate agent. You've also been alive. You know people. Maybe you have a wife, girlfriend, kids, whatever, doctor, barber, auto repair guy, whatever. They all go in your database. That's your business.
okay.
And I always say start with that. And then you can bolt on marketing programs to that. But if you don't have that going, nothing you do will ever pay for itself successfully. The return on investment on marketing to strangers and not accumulating them into a database is you're going to go broke.
Okay.
Guaranteed. Now, coaching companies encourage that, I think it's almost like they're almost like pimps treating streetwalkers. And as long as you're paying them their coaching fee, they're happy. I'm not getting paid anything from you. I don't really care. I want you to be successful. And I'm going to tell you that the key is building equity in a business. And that starts with accumulating people in, marketing to them. And then you can add on other pieces of marketing to that. But everybody you talk to the rest of your career should be in your database. Everybody you meet the rest of your career should be in your database. Everybody. And that number, you should be tracking that, and the number should be growing.
Okay.
Is that a little harsh?
No, it's great. I mean, I don't take offense to it. I'm trying to learn from everybody. So thank you for that advice.
Thank you. Good. Glad to help out. And again, it's just really important because I just feel very strongly that we spend too much time, I think, looking for magic business from people that we don't know, and not enough. I'm moving my. Oh, that's so funny. I can't get that out of there. Yeah, never mind. We spend so much time looking for some magic new person who's going to help us with business, and we're overlooking the easier business is the people who already know you, like you, and trust you. It's already in your database, or should be. Okay?
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Sure, Gil. Thank you so much. Drive safely. And there you go. Okay. So I think we're coming up in the end of the hour here. I don't see any other hands up or questions. So good time to I think break for the rest of the day. Again, real quick, this is probatemastery.com. We do this every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. It's also recorded and put on YouTube. And then continue the conversation on our Facebook group. Let me pull that up real fast. Estate Planning Mastermind. Let's see, where are we here? I don't want to put that up. I'm going to go there. There we go. There you go. Probably and you have a couple options as far as programs. We have some free material you should start with. You're going to get certified. And then there's course bundles. And then as Lou mentioned, there's a bundle for both the certification program and the earn program. Normally each $600 that are combined, I think $700. Check that out. And then you go to the Facebook group. You can click on that here to the Estate Professionals Mastermind Facebook group. We have 7,000 members there. Continue conversations, ask questions, get service answers there. And then separately, I'm Bill Gross. I host probateweekly.com. We do that every Thursday at 4 p.m. I interview attorneys and would love to have you join us for that conversation as well. Thanks, everybody. Have a fantastic week, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.